Okay, and here we go over to Thailand to catch up with Yoshi Shimatsu, our weekly report. Hello there, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Very good. We have a lot going on. TEPCO is finally admitting now to 300 tons of radioactive water a day going into the Pacific. Earlier they had admitted to 400. I guess they forgot their early admission. Well, we know it's much more than 300 or 400 because we know that they don't know what the hell's going on there. Could be 1,000 tons a day.
They really don't know. No, they don't know. That's just a number they throw out there to, keep regulators off their back.
And over here, Yoshi, the FDA announced that there is absolutely no reason to worry about eating fish from the Pacific or the Gulf of Alaska, and that they'll check on an as-needed basis. There's no problem. And one idiot said...
Well, this is the same FDA that says it's completely unsafe to take herbal medicines, right?
Of course.
For thousands of years from
Absolutely.
Latin America, Asia, Australia. Oh, those are dangerous to your health, things that might cure you. But salmon, tuna, shellfish, kelp, go ahead and eat that stuff off the Pacific coast, even though my own measurements, when I was there earlier this year, a couple of months ago, along the California coast, we're talking about massively dangerous levels in the kelp and in the shellfish that dine on the kelp. You know that, and I think I actually had some pictures of some of the numbers and all that, killing off sea mammals. And what are we but descendants of sea mammals? I mean, we're mammals who live by the shore. Those are sea mammals. We eat the same things. They eat fish. They died. The mother sea lions and seals died off, leaving their pups stranded on shore to die of starvation. So if that's happening to the sea mammals on the Pacific coast, imagine what's coming into the human food chain. When we're getting much fish when we're eating much larger fishes than they do. They're going.
Well, nobody's talking about the larger
we're going
fishes.
Off of fish that are higher on the food chain improving. Well, we know the tuna are radioactive. There's no doubt about that. The salmon are radioactive. There's absolutely no doubt.
The bioaccumulation is huge.
How far the radiation goes in different species. That's what an FDA is supposed to be showing you. It's what's safe to eat, what's not safe to eat, and telling you exactly where they're drawing that line in the water, in the sand, a line on the beach, okay? That's what their job is to do, not to give blankets.
Well, let me suggest that they are testing. They know damn well what's going on, but they're never going to tell us. Yeah. They know.
Well, Ocean Woods, I think, they did their report in 2011, mid-Pacific, in June, before really the radiation reached that
You mean Woods Hole?
Water. Yeah.
Woods Hole, okay.
Yeah, Woods Hole in Massachusetts, the lab which is doing the work for it. Their study is like out of date by more than 2 years, and certainly, by that time the radiation hadn't moved up the food chain as it has. There's like several in the fish.
It's all lies of omission.
About 3 generations by
lies
now.
of omission. They're not telling us by lying and leaving things out. They just.
Well, this is the top, I believe that's the top marine biology lab in the world. It's supposed to be. And if that's the case, marine biology's got a real serious problem. I mean, just like the nuclear establishment has a problem when, places like Los Alamos, Sandia Labs tell us everything is okay with nuclear power except for their nuclear safety official who happened to die in a mysterious drowning off the Florida coast and who led the investigation into Fukushima. She died. I mean, she was drowned, although she was a certified diving instructor.
And the only person on that boat to drown out of about 40 people, the only one.
Absolutely. So that, we have to question exactly what's happening at these national level laboratories in the United States, the ones that are not producing, let's say.
Well, did you see the story? Did you read it? They had 2 people
it's just
make
so
statements.
Bogus. I mean, this is like
totally
no data.
Bogus.
No data. Zero data.
None.
No analysis. Just everything is safe to eat. Okay, the ocean is a big place.
He says.
I mean, do we really need a top level marine biologist to tell us that the ocean is a big place, that most of the Earth's surface is covered by? Do we really need someone who's a PhD top research to tell us this? It's something that every kindergartner already knows.
It's
I
so
mean, why
offensive.
are these guys? They're getting like
Yeah.
6-digit salaries. These people.
Yeah.
They're paid a lot of money to provide accurate, timely research for the public interest. And they're getting their grants from the National Science Foundation and so on, from the U.S. government, from taxpayers. Their job, their responsibility is, accountability is to the taxpayer, and I think taxpayers got to do some shake-up at all the national labs, which are just giving us, cock and bull story on every front, whether it's vaccines, where they're developing weaponized viruses that are escaping out into the public domain out here, out into all over the western states. There are outbreaks all over the place. There's strange bird flus that are emerging. To the now marine science, and national, and we know the nuclear lab establishment is completely a pit of corruption. Totally corrupted.
The water now that is flowing under and over the barrier that's supposed to keep it bottled up is 16 million times over the limit that is safe.
Obviously, all the measurements on the coast that I've taken, from distances less than 20 kilometers, inside the exclusion zone, they're ridiculous. I mean, and I'm the first person to say the ocean is a big place. This is not stagnant water. There is a current coming from the Bering Strait, the Lehman current, the Oyashio current, coming down that coast. So the water is moving, and yet it remains heavily contaminated. It means leakage is continuing on a massive level. That's the only conclusion we have. The Lehman current is a powerful current, a cold current that drives southward. And if there was no leakage, we'd see very, very little radiation water, and we would see very little accumulation in the kelp and the marine animals there in the shelf.
Meanwhile, look at the physical issues at hand. We've got possibly 3 reactors melted through, and they're down as corium underneath their containments into the ground. We don't know how deep. We do know that they're impacting. Go ahead.
Exactly why they have to keep pumping water in, and they pray for a lot of rainwater to go down there and keep these things from heating up anymore. But they are heating up, given the rising level.
They may have to pump water into them forever. They got no plan.
Oh, they will. But the problem is, water alone will not stop.
No, all they do by pumping water in there is make more poison to put in the planet.
Exactly. They're poisoning the ocean, and it may not be able to contain another serious meltdown leading to a real fissile, possibly a fusion event and a fissile event, which basically is a underground hydrogen bomb blast, or much more powerful than any hydrogen bomb we've ever seen. And I thought this out a lot more. I was thinking about the wave dynamics. That what an explosion underground like that would shot with that much fuel down there, if triggered by tritium heavy water, which send a shock wave through the rock in all directions, but especially downward. That shock wave could theoretically, drive as far as the Earth's mantle to the solid crust, and form basically a spike that will go like a nail that would drive right down into the more liquid part of the mantle. That is the end of all of Earth as a living thing. Forget all these Gaia guys and all that. Well, all these people are talking about, climate change. That would be total Earth change. We're going back billions of years to a molten planet. If that happens, if this spike forms, the shock wave could actually do that. It could actually elongate the Earth's crust, a large section of the Earth's crust, turn it into something like a gigantic nail or a bullet that's just driving, an armored bullet driving straight down into the Earth's mantle. If that happens, all this molten metal is going to become. We're not talking about we're not talking about molten rock anymore. We're not talking about lava. We're talking about molten metal pouring out of the Earth there, and basically unstoppable, covering the whole planet. And you forget about the water. That stuff, water will just vanish. Will just vanish, like smoke from the atmosphere. It'll be gone. There'll be nothing left. That's one possible TEPCO solution to the problem. That end all life on Earth. There'll be no one left to be accountable to, and it'll be all over. And I hope the nuclear scientists, start thinking seriously about the kind of possibility of an actual explosion down there, below the reactors of a massive force, a force large enough. With the wave, we're talking about a wave force. The explosion would send a shock wave that would you would feel it all around the planet. It would be so huge. It would be beyond any earthquake ever seen. That's what we're facing, folks. And I don't know what to say. We're facing total, and as I've written about before, in the Mahayana Buddhists, among the Mahayana Buddhists, this is a Buddhism practice in Japan. The prediction is that the earth will end at a time of ultimate corruption of man, when the earth is covered by molten iron, molten metal. Mm-hmm. So this is really strange, that there is an actual possibility of this ancient prophecy being fulfilled. The end of the world. The end of the world could actually be fulfilled. It's really, and that's kind of deeply disturbing. That's very deeply disturbing that, theological perspective or philosophical perspective might actually be a self-fulfilling prophecy here by these madmen in the nuclear establishment. And despite everything, I was really cheered by this morning's Japan Times when a teacher from Yellow Springs, Ohio, wrote a letter to the Ministry of Education in Japan saying he's canceling any further study tours of American students from that area to Japan because one of his students from there, one of the students from Ohio, a young woman, a teenager, returned with bleeding nose, sore throat, headaches, all the symptoms of radiation-related illnesses, radiation-related symptoms. And he says he cannot, in any good conscience, send any young American females to Japan any longer, given the fact that the food is contaminated, the water is contaminated, and given the fact that TEPCO only recently admitted dumping all the water into the sea, and that the Japanese diet is principally fish, and also the fact that, these mutant vegetables are just springing up all over Japan.
There's no...
you could not in good conscience send students over there.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
And sadly, there still are a lot of American and European students there.
Criminal.
And missionary groups. The Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and some of the evangelical groups should be ashamed of themselves. I was in Fukushima last autumn at a festival where a lot of the students who were missionaries showed up. These are preteen girls coming there into areas that are obviously radioactive, and they're home state students, so they don't eat American food. They eat Japanese food, same as the Japanese families all the time, and all that rice from Fukushima is in the national market, and especially in the Fukushima area, they're eating a radioactive diet. This is unconscionable that people of religion, the Christian religion, dare send their children to such a dangerous place, especially girls, where, once they're contaminated, a woman is born with so many little eggs in their body, and that's it. They don't make new ones. There's no new supply. Once those are irradiated,
exactly,
it's over. No grandchildren. Yeah. Forget about it. They're going to come out as mutants.
That's right. Yeah. Here's David L. Smith.
I felt very good that finally one teacher who's running the overseas student study program, finally,
No, that was heartening. That's nice to hear.
The U.S. government, the Department of Education, should have done this since 3/11.
Total embargo.
No American students go to Japan until it is determined and certified by American scientists and an independent board and everybody.
Independent scientists.
That it is safe to travel there, to eat there, and to stay there for a long time, because we know it is not.
Okay, now let's talk about over here. There's a quote from David L. Smith, a Geneva Business Insider. He said, "The people of Japan, the nation, the people of Japan, are responsible for the poisoning of the food chain of the world. And if they don't stand up, who can stand up and do anything about it? It's not them necessarily. Who's going to be eating the fish? They're not necessarily going to be eating it. If you watch the currents going across the Pacific Ocean, it may very well be the people in Malibu who are eating the fish that are completely radioactive."
Well, this is why I do make a big fuss about, being very careful about best not to eat sushi. I hate to hurt all the restaurant owners, many of them Japanese, all the chefs. But the reality is, we cannot be in the position of poisoning our customers. I mean, this is, this is like, there is like ethics in cooking. Ethics in cooking, maybe we need a TV show about ethics in cooking. I mean, people should not be eating tuna, or any of the large body fishes or shellfish. It's dangerous, and what are the consequences of them? People who are addicts, fans of this. I mean, this is a matter of choice. People can choose differently, but they need the information, and the chefs should make that decision themselves. Seek the testing and all that. Not seeking reassurances, not seeking easy answers, but in cases of doubt, don't serve the stuff. And this is the only way that industry can survive. And the people in Japan have to take responsibility from people elsewhere in the world. We can't be shipping our radioactive rice as was done to Nepal. The Nepalese villagers there, village chief, refused to take the food aid from Japan. They said the stuff is radioactive. We won't eat Japanese rice. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is ridiculous that Japanese taxpayers' money, which can't be spent on the survivors of the tsunami, is used to ship radioactive rice to Africa and to South Asia. It's wrong, and the Japanese people have to stand up and say more. And I think there are individuals saying that, but it's not like the consumer groups and all that who are. They're just watching out for themselves, not in my backyard. There's got to be much more, I think, momentum. And I think the Consumers Union and other groups worldwide, in Europe and the United States, Southeast Asia, have got to start, taking the issue more seriously. And
I don't know how to get them
anyway,
to do it.
Another point today is the failure of Abenomics. The second quarter results from April, May, June are in. The economy shrank. The economic growth, I shouldn't say economy, economic growth shrank by more than 1%. It's down to only 2%. So basically, this was a quarter, make or break, for Shinzo Abe to prove that his weakening the yen and unloosening the purses of the Bank of Japan would spur the economy. Well, it hasn't. It has failed. It's been a grand illusion. His desperation tactics are now to try to pump money into the defense industry. So he's giving 11 patrol boats to the Philippines Navy to be built by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. It's just a giveaway to Japanese industry. The boats are probably junk. He's trying to get an exemption because, the American Lightning, the F-35 warplane jet, the new jet that's got a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's a turkey.
Parts are made in Japan.
It's a turkey.
Huh?
It's a turkey.
Yeah, so he's trying to get exemption for the F-35 to be sold to Israel, and then also
that's interesting.
He's trying to raise the consumption tax, the sales tax for average people have to pay at the store, but he's trying to lower the corporate tax from its, which has already been lowered once already, and it's going to be lowered again in 2050. He's trying to drop the corporate tax radically in order to help foreign corporations enter into the Japanese market. And I've always said that Abenomics is a product of George Soros and Wall Street. It's Jewish capital behind Abenomics. He is neoconservative. He's a neoconservative. His grandfather had a very close secret alliance. Tried to build. His grandfather financed the training of the Jewish militia called the Beitar in Manchuria and in Shanghai.
Really?
They trained them in using automatic weapons, providing them with explosives. Yeah, I'll be republishing some of this stuff from the Japan Times, from my watch on the Japan, to explain how the Japanese military intelligence cooperated very heavily with the Zionist movement, with assurances from Hans Morgenthau, U.S. Treasurer, and from the World Jewish Congress in Toronto, the Bronfman family. He had reassurances that Japan, they would fully back Japan throughout this Manchurian and World War II venture, and make sure that Japan will come out of the war with peace with America. Okay? So he's from that school of neoconservatives in Japan who strongly believe that the Japanese have some sort of racial link with the Jews, and considers himself a Jew.
Interesting.
Okay? So he's very closely linked with Jewish capital, and his Abenomics, he's trying to open the door for Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and company, you know all the Wall Street names, okay? All of them ending with a sign or a Baum or something like this, coming into Tokyo to set up insurance companies, banking, hedge funds, and all that, and to take over the real estate market. Well, I'm sorry, if you're Jewish out there and you're rich, Japan and Tokyo are radioactive. It's hot property, all right, radioactive hot. It's a bad investment, you know? I'd stick to opening bagel shops in Haifa or something rather than do that. So that's my advice to my Jewish banker friends. Anyway, Abenomics is failing. It's going to fail. And this guy's a total rat. I mean, in Japan, in Kyoto, I know one professor. He said, this Abe, he is a merchant of death. He's a merchant of death.
Wow.
And this is what he's doing. Trying to sell weapons that he has nowhere else to go. Mm-hmm. And that's what he believes in. That's a God he believes in. So
he's trying to sell the Jewish Air Force, the F-35 strike fighter. They really want
that's a lot of Japanese parts. So that's why you can't sell it unless Japan gives an exemption to Congress to sell them. Yeah.
I got it. Well, they want that. They really want the F-22. They haven't gotten that yet, but they'll probably get the F-35.
Well, the F-22 has got more expensive parts, harder to build. So the F-35 is all the flying junk that they want to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
The defense industry doesn't make good weapons. I mean, has America won any wars lately? You know? Was Iraq a victory? Afghanistan? Is that a victory?
No.
Was the Korean War a victory?
No.
Was Vietnam a victory?
Genocide.
What's the defense industry good other than for burning off people's money and lining the pockets of the filthy rich?
Yeah, he killed millions of people.
Well, that's the price of progress for some. This is a sad state of things, is that Japan is locked in to the economy of death. We're in the Trans-Pacific Partnership talks now, where again, I have to say that the deal is Japan gets to ship radioactive fish and food to America, and the United States then has the right to send GMO seeds and GMO food to Japan. It's a lose-lose situation for both sides.
Oh, yeah,
That's what they call free trade. It's mutual. I call it a double suicide. It's not free trade. It's not mutual benefit.
Oh, that's perfect. Suicide. That's perfect. You got it. You nailed it.
Insane. Yeah. I mean, we are so far into insanity that, now I think you understand. The last week I've been up in the mountains of Thailand.
Yes.
Away from it all.
Yeah.
All I have to contend with are typhoons coming from Pacific, from the Vietnam side, and monsoons coming from the Indian Ocean. Massive rain. That's all. The forces of the thunder, lightning, and rain. That's all. So much more simple, so much easier. Primitive man had the right idea.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Really well said, Yoshin. All right, thanks for the report. We'll talk to you next week. I'm sorry you had to come back down out of the mountains.
Well, I needed a hot shower. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. All right. Take care of yourself.
All right.
Talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yoichi Shimatsu, and that's our report. This Fukushima thing is so bad, and it's about time. You watch the mainstream media, they'll say, well, we did our thing, now we'll go on to something else. They worry about Britney Spears' next crisis. It's just, they don't stick with it because they're not supposed to. They only do real journalism when they have to, and only then for a very short duration. Well, we'll keep you informed as best we can. So that's what you're going to get, the truth, as much as we can gather it up for you. That's our Monday night program. Thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow night and do it again.
Mammals who live by the shore, those are sea mammals, we eat the same things. They eat fish, they died. The mother sea lions and seals died off, leaving their pups stranded on shore to die of starvation. So if that's happening to the sea mammals on the Pacific coast, imagine what's coming into the human food chain when we're getting much fish when we're eating much larger fishes than they do. They're going.
Well, nobody's talking about the larger fishes.
Off of fish that are higher on the food chain improving. Well, we know the tuna are radioactive. There's no doubt about that. The salmon are radioactive. There's absolutely no doubt about your health. Things that might cure you. But salmon, tuna, shellfish, kelp, go ahead and eat that stuff off the Pacific coast, even though my own measurements, when I was there earlier this year, a couple of months ago, along the California coast, we're talking about massively dangerous levels in the kelp and in the shellfish that dine on the kelp. You know that, and I think I actually had some pictures of some of the numbers and all that, killing off sea mammals. And what are we but descendants of sea mammals? I mean, we're...
Or that they don't know what the hell's going on there. Could be 1,000
tons a day. They really don't know. No, they don't know. That's just a number they throw out there to, keep regulators off their back.
And over here, Yoshi, the FDA announced that there is absolutely no reason to worry about eating fish from the Pacific or the Gulf of Alaska, and that they'll check on an as-needed basis. There's no problem. And one idiot said...
Well, this is the same FDA that says it's completely unsafe to take herbal medicines, right?
Of course.
For thousands of years from
Absolutely.
Latin America, Asia, Australia. Oh, those are dangerous.
Okay, and here we go over to Thailand to catch up with Yoshi Shimatsu, our weekly report. Hello there, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Very good. We have a lot going on. TEPCO is finally admitting now to 300 tons of radioactive water a day going into the Pacific. Earlier they had admitted to 400. I guess they forgot their early admission. Well, we know it's much more than 300 or 400 because we know accumulation is huge.
Yeah, how far the radiation goes in different species, that's what an FDA is supposed to be showing you. It's what's safe to eat, what's not safe to eat, and telling you exactly where they're drawing that line in the water, in the sand, the line on the beach, okay? That's what their job is to do, not to give blanket.
Well, let me suggest that they are testing. They know damn well what's going on, but they're never going to tell us. Yeah. They know.
Well, Ocean Woods, I think, they did their report in 2011, mid-Pacific, in June, before really the radiation